Hello everybody. Well, today I'm going to give you guys a tour of our boat. It's a 1967 Rawson 30. It's a 30 foot, or actually a 30.5 foot masthead sloop, I believe. And I'm going to show you the cockpit now. So right now we have our little sun dodger up. It's about 105 degrees out right now. It's really hot, but this boat has had some work done on it. The inboard gas engine was taken out and they installed a 15 horse Honda outboard, which is a really cool move for us. Super fuel efficient and super reliable. And so we just keep our fuel tanks here. Spare tank is usually in there, but we took it out because it's so hot. And yeah, then we have the control box and throttle right here, right next to the helm. It's a little clunky when you're at the helm, but look at this cool seat that somebody made. It's got a nice curve in it to go over the outboard, but it also is really handy when you're on a port or a starboard tack. You can sit on one side or the other, and it's super comfy at the helm. We have all of our propane set up in here, and that's also doubles as our recycling area when we're underway and drinking beer. Batteries are all in here in this hatch. And then we have the old engine compartment has been ow, that's really hot. The old engine compartment is now just a really big storage area, and it has a water tank. It's got our cleaning supplies. I installed the transducer there for the new depth finder. So yeah, so this is a really clunky hatch, but it's convenient to have all this extra space here. And then just today I put this yoga mat on here because this metal gets about close to the temperature of the sun. And yeah, so in the cockpit we can usually fit two and two or three back here, so 5 or 6 people can ride pretty comfy in this cockpit. And we have our new depth finder right here that I installed. The rest of this stuff is all inoperable for now. It's old engine controls for the inboard, which has been taken out. Got shore power right here. Okay, we have a little rope ladder. Jake made this actually. Just hangs from the boat. We either hanging around the winch or around this back cleat here. Got our barbecue, which is a gift from our friend Forrest. And then I've got all the cars set as far aft as they go, really. We had our big 130 out in light wind, so those slide all the way up depending on the size of your sail. And we got this main winch here, which needs a little bit of work. This controls all the halyards, the jib and main halyard. I am going to replace these cleats right here. Not cleats, but clutches, jammers, whatever you call them. These things are pretty subpar for a boat this big. You need something I can lock it on with. And yeah, here's our rigging on the mast. The boom vang is a little bit disabled right now. It came up from the wood around the mast here, so we just actually jury rigged this little line here. And now the boom vang is just kind of on there. It has a sliding gooseneck, which you can kind of see here, but we just keep it in the down position. I haven't really had much experience with sliding goosenecks. And one really cool thing about this boat is it has this secondary rigging here, which goes up just past the first spreaders there, and you can rig up a spinnaker pole or a whisker pole here, and you can apparently run a spinnaker on this rig. Never done that on this boat. Yeah. And then here's our anchor setup. We've used the anchor a few times. This is actually a really convenient anchor chain storage. We have about 150 feet of road, like 100 of chain, and 50 that's rope. Paddles for our dinghy. Jib halyard here. All right, let's go take a look inside before I melt. Okay, here is looking through the companionway into our cabin. You can see a lot of the work that Jake has done in here really came together. He sanded all this wood down multiple times and then oiled it, and it just looks amazing right now. We were going to wait to do a boat tour until after we got all the work done, but as many of you know, work never really finishes on a boat, so we still have to work on a lot of this stuff. This is just working. Would definitely work on these bottles later. Just got kind of a rope locker here, winch handle storage, and this is old power fuses and stuff for the main power system, which we don't use. Over here we have the control panel, and again, a lot of these down here don't get used anymore. And it's got a nice litany of fuses and other beautiful looking things there. Got our flares and first aid locker right here. Underneath each of these seats, you see plenty of storage down here where we keep our beer. And we pretty much need this whole bench storage for beer because, well, just because. These are the cushions that Katie has fashioned. We only showed her making a couple of them, but believe me, it was a really hard, long job, and she deserves major kudos for it. She did a really good job. This table we're going to eventually replace with maybe just a beautiful slab of wood, but obviously it folds down onto this bracket here and makes bed here in the settee area. This starboard bunk is a nice couch kind of area. It does go back enough to make another bunk, so this is bunk number. So this is 1 and 2 people can sleep here, 3 can sleep here, and then in the V berth 4 and 5, and then 6 up here on this bunk. So we can really sleep 6 people if we ever had to. Quick look at the kitchen and liquor cabinet. These all have covers. We're not quite sure if we're going to replace them or not. You know, this stuff all needs a little work here and there, but the outside is nice, and I mean, it did everything beautifully, the drawers and everything else. So the oven apparently works. We've never tried it. I was toying the other day with the notion of just taking the oven completely out and freeing up this space for coolers and other things. We don't really use the oven. We're not living aboard or anything, so there's a chance that we might remove that feature just to make some room. And so this is looking aft. The bathroom we're not too proud of yet. Right now we just have a camp toilet and then the pooping buckets, which is yet to be used. We are aiming for less than 5 poops on this boat this summer. It's a personal goal of mine. The V-berth is where we keep our sails. We got a ton of sails with this boat. So this right here is our biggest. It's like a 130, really light sail, good for light wind. This is just a little bit smaller and a little bit heavier. I don't know what you'd call it. It says 130 on there, but it's not. It's smaller than that. This is kind of a standard jib right here. And then this right here is our storm sail, which you can also rig up as a staysail, I've heard. I've never actually tried that. So life jackets, etc., etc. There is storage underneath these V-berth bunks too. And Katie and I slept in the V-berth on the camping trip, and it was super comfy. Jake said he slept in it in the SETI area and said that was even better. So I think we have lots of good choices for places to sleep. One really cool feature about this boat that shows that it was built in the Pacific Northwest is this little guy right here. And it's kind of hard to tell what it is because we removed the pipe, but usually there's a pipe, stovepipe, that comes down here and fits right into here. And this is a little heating stove that runs off of propane. Just one of those little camping propane cylinders that you see. And I love that feature because we can come out here in the winter and camp and be super warm. And this little closet in here, which we're basically keeping all the junk we don't know where to keep. And yeah, so that's the cabin. It's looking really good thanks to Jake's work. There's a fridge that we got a hold of that we might install right here that runs off the battery. As you can see, Jake made brand new bilge covers out of this scrap redwood that he has, and they turned out really cool. Just come out to see all the light differentials. So those just allow a little bit of air coming up from the bilge, and yeah, they're sweet to have. So that's a quick tour of our boat. I'm sweating and I need to go jump in the water. Whew. Okay, what a relief. That'll give me about another 5 minutes before I have to jump in again. A couple things I forgot to mention. You can see down there where the outboard is coming out of. They just cut a hole right in the hole beneath the transom, and it seems to work pretty well. It does not answer in reverse very well, but you know, that's the only problem we have. No problem. There was a little bit of a aftermarket kind of rigging that somebody did. They fit the main sheet down here just forward of the command center here. Command center, the helm. This is not the Starship Enterprise. And as you can see, that makes the main sheet go up right here about middle of the cockpit. I suspect that it used to come from here where you see this old Traveler, which is not in use anymore. I think why they probably did that was the main sheet was probably kind of a pain in your face unless you traveled all the way over, and still it would be, if you're close hauled, it would be right there. So now it's right here. When somebody's sitting aft in one of those cockpit benches, they have a little bit of main sheet in their face sometimes, but they can deal with it also. A couple of damages that we are thinking about replacing this year still. This is that damage that occurred when it hit this pole, actually, during a storm, a huge windstorm last Labor Day, before we owned the boat. And we're thinking about just splicing in some new slats of teak or possibly redwood if we don't have access to teak, and just going all the way to the end and then just making a new end cap here. There's some ideas of making this more of a pronounced step so people can step on easier. We're not sure about that. And then the other damage is right here on this starboard tow rail. See, it just hit right there on the boat dock. So those are the two rails that we have to replace. The one tricky part is that stanchion. You can see that needs to attach to the rail, similar to how this one's attached. Yeah, other than that, we're doing pretty well with our repairs. For those who are familiar with this boat, they know it was built in the Puget Sound. It's built pretty rugged, so it's way more boat than we would ever need on this lake, and we're happy about that because I've been in 4-footers and blowing 25 knots and it barely rocks. Waves coming right at our beam. So this thing's a tank, weighs about 13,000 pounds we estimate. Yeah, it was designed by William Garden, who's sort of a well-known architect, naval architect, boat architect, and he built 252 of these, I believe. 50 of them had a pilot house underneath the boom there, and the other 200 are similar to this, I've heard. This is a 1967, so it's a Rawson built and Bill Garden designed. I won't tell you what we bought it for because it was such a low price and I don't want anybody else to get discouraged. But it was enough for us to put a couple thousand into the boat without even reaching what we should have paid for this boat. So big thank you to Tom and Marjorie who sold us this boat. They have been awesome to us, and they've opened up a whole new chapter on this lake. So we're really appreciative of them for passing this beautiful boat on, and we hope to make them proud. And yeah, so that's the Free Spirit. Stay tuned for more videos in the future.